I never believed in ghosts until I received a text message from my wife's phone. 3 simple words that made my blood run cold. "I'm back, honey." The problem? My wife had been dead for 6 months.
What the hell?
I stared at my phone's screen, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped it. The message preview glowed in the darkness of my bedroom, the only light source in the room. It was 3:17 a.m. I hadn't changed her contact information. Her smiling face still appeared next to the message.
This isn't funny. Who is this?
I typed the response quickly, anger mixing with fear. Someone had to be playing a cruel joke. Her phone had been buried with her final request. She'd always been attached to that device, even joked that she'd haunt me through it if I didn't let her take it to the grave. The 3 dots appeared immediately. Someone was typing.
"It's me. I miss you."
My throat constricted. The typing style, the way she always put periods at the end of short messages, it was exactly like her.
This isn't possible. Whoever you are, stop this right now.
"Remember our honeymoon? The way you got sunburned so badly on your back that I had to apply aloe vera every hour? You said it was worth it just to have my hands on you."
My heart skipped a beat. We'd never shared that story with anyone. It was our private joke, something intimate between just us.
How do you know that?
"Because it's me, silly. I told you I'd find a way back."
I put the phone down and got out of bed, pacing the room. This couldn't be happening. I'd watched them lower her casket into the ground. I'd thrown the first handful of dirt onto it. I'd mourned for 6 months, barely functioning, barely living. The phone buzzed again.
"The reception down here isn't great, but I found a way. Are you still there?"
If this is really you, tell me something only you would know.
"The password to your laptop is Strawberry Pancakes 2018. It's the breakfast I made the morning you proposed."
I felt dizzy. Nobody knew that password. I'd never told anyone, not even her parents or our closest friends.
This is impossible.
"I know it's hard to believe, but I'm here, sort of. I miss you so much."
I sat back down on the bed, my mind racing. Could technology somehow work 6 feet underground? Was there some explanation for this? Or was I finally losing my mind after months of grief?
"Can you come see me?"
What do you mean, where?
"You know where. Where you left me."
The cemetery. She wanted me to go to the cemetery at 3:30 in the morning. Every horror movie I'd ever seen flashed through my mind, warning me not to go. But this was my wife, or someone who knew things only my wife could know.
It's the middle of the night.
"Please. I'm so lonely down here."
Against every rational thought, I found myself getting dressed. I pulled on jeans and a sweatshirt, grabbed my car keys and headed out. The night was unusually cold for summer, a mist hanging low over the streets as I drove the familiar route to the cemetery. The gates were closed, of course, but there was a section of fence in the back that was bent. Teenagers used it to sneak in and drink among the tombstones. I'd reported it multiple times, but the cemetery management never fixed it. Tonight, I was grateful for their negligence. My phone buzzed again as I squeezed through the gap.
"Are you coming?"
I'm here. At the cemetery.
"I can feel you. You're close."
The mist was thicker here, swirling around the gravestones like ghostly figures dancing in the moonlight. I used my phone's flashlight to navigate the paths I knew too well from my weekly visits. Her grave was in the newer section, under a maple tree that would eventually grow to provide shade. As I approached, my phone buzzed continuously.
"Closer, closer, I can feel you, right above me."
I stood at her gravestone, the beam of my flashlight illuminating the engraving of her name, the dates of her birth and death, and the simple epitaph, "Beloved wife, forever in our hearts."
I'm here.
"Put your phone on the ground."
I hesitated, but then placed my phone screen up on the grass covering her grave. The screen glowed eerily in the darkness, casting strange shadows across the stone.
"I miss feeling your warmth."
The words appeared on the screen without any indication of typing. No 3 dots, just instant messages.
I miss you too, every day, every minute.
"Would you do anything to have me back?"
I knelt on the damp grass, tears forming in my eyes.
Yes. Anything.
"Dig."
I stared at the single word on the screen. a chill running down my spine that had nothing to do with the night air.
What?
If you want me back, you need to dig. I can't get out on my own.
I looked around frantically. The cemetery was deserted, but digging up a grave was illegal, not to mention disturbing on a level I couldn't even process.
Oh, I can't do that.
Don't you love me anymore?
The guilt hit me like a physical blow. 6 months of wondering if I could have done more, if I could have somehow prevented her sudden illness, if I had missed some warning sign.
Of course I love you. I've never stopped loving you.
Then dig. Use your hands if you have to. I need to feel the air again.
I looked at my hands, then at the ground. The soil was soft from recent rain. Maybe I could... No. This was insane. But what if it really was her? What if by some miracle she was alive down there? My phone screen suddenly went black. Then it lit up again with a photo, a selfie she had taken on our last vacation together, just weeks before she got sick. Her smile was radiant. Her eyes full of life. The sight of her made my heart ache.
Remember how happy we were? We can be that happy again.
I began to dig with my bare hands, scooping away the wet earth, not caring about the dirt under my fingernails or the strain in my back. I dug frantically, possessed by the impossible hope that somehow she was waiting for me. After what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes, I had made a shallow depression in the earth. My hands were raw and bleeding, but I kept going. My phone continued to light up with messages.
Deeper. I can feel you getting closer. Don't stop now.
Suddenly, my fingers hit something solid. Not the casket, it would be much deeper, but something metallic. I brushed away more dirt to reveal a small metal box, about the size of a paperback book.
What is this?
Open it.
With trembling hands, I lifted the box out of the hole. It wasn't locked. I opened the lid to find her phone, her actual phone, nestled inside, along with a folded piece of paper. The screen of her phone was on, showing our text conversation. I unfolded the paper with shaking hands. It was a note in her handwriting.
If you're reading this, it means I'm gone and you've received my messages. I set this up before I died, using a scheduled messaging app and a solar charger. I knew you'd come if you thought it was really me. I'm sorry for the deception, but I needed to make sure you'd find this.
I stared at the note, confusion mixing with disappointment, and a strange sense of relief. It wasn't her. Of course it wasn't her. It was just a clever setup, a final message from beyond. But as I continued reading, my blood turned to ice.
The doctors were wrong about what killed me. It wasn't natural. Look in the bottom compartment of the box.
I turned the box over and discovered a false bottom. Inside was a small USB drive and another note, this one hastily scribbled.
I found out something I shouldn't have. About Mail 2. About what he's been doing at the lab. He saw me looking at his files. The sudden illness wasn't sudden at all. He's been poisoning me slowly. The proof is on this drive. I'm setting this up because, if you're reading this, I was right and he killed me. Don't trust him. He might come for you next.
Mail, too. My best friend. The one who had been there for me throughout her illness and after her death. The one who had a key to our house and had been checking in on me regularly. The one who worked at a pharmaceutical research lab. My phone buzzed with a new message. But this one wasn't from her scheduled app.
Hey, I just drove by and saw your car's gone. Everything okay? It's 4 a.m.
As I stared at the message, another one came through on her phone.
One last thing. The app is set to delete all these messages at sunrise. This is my final gift to you. The truth. I love you. I always will. But now you need to run.
I heard footsteps on the gravel path behind me. Heavy, deliberate footsteps.
What are you doing out here so late?
I turned slowly, clutching the box and the USB drive in my dirt-covered hands. Mail 2 stood a few feet away, his face half hidden in shadow. In one hand he held his phone, in the other, something that glinted in the moonlight.
Just visiting, couldn't sleep.
With a shovel?
I hadn't brought a shovel, but there, leaning against a nearby tombstone, was a small garden spade that hadn't been there when I arrived.
I've been watching you for a while. You seemed so determined. What did you find?
He took a step closer, and I could now see that the glinting object was a syringe.
She was always too clever for her own good. I wondered if she'd set up some kind of dead man switch. What's in the box?
I clutched it tighter to my chest, taking a step backward.
Nothing, just some mementos.
You're a terrible liar, always have been. That's why she loved you, I suppose. So honest, so trusting.
He took another step forward.
Did you know she came to me first when she suspected something was wrong with her? Trusted her friend, the doctor. By then it was already too late. The compound I developed is virtually untraceable. A masterpiece, really.
Why? She never did anything to you.
She was going to expose my research. Do you have any idea what those formulas are worth? What governments would pay for an untraceable poison that mimics natural illness? She was going to ruin everything because of her ridiculous moral compass.
He was close enough now that I could smell his cologne, the same scent that had sometimes lingered in our house after his visits. Had he been in our home when I wasn't there? Had he continued poisoning her even as she lay sick in bed?
I'm truly sorry it has to end this way. You were my friend. But I can't let you leave with whatever she left you.
He lunged forward with the syringe. I dodged to the side, my foot slipping on the wet grass. As I fell, I threw the metal box at his face with all my strength. It connected with a satisfying crunch, and he staggered backward, blood pouring from his nose. I scrambled to my feet, clutching only the USB drive now. He recovered quickly, wiping blood from his face with the back of his hand.
You have no idea what you're doing. That research could save lives.
It took a life, hers.
I turned and ran, weaving between gravestones, the USB drive clutched tightly in my fist. I could hear him behind me, his breathing heavy, his footsteps pounding on the earth. I reached the gap in the fence and squeezed through, tearing my shirt on the metal. My car was just a few yards away. I fumbled with the keys, finally getting the door open and throwing myself inside. As I started the engine, Male 2 appeared at the fence, his face a mask of rage and blood.
This isn't over.
But it was. As I drove away, I realized that in a strange way, she had come back. Not as a ghost, not through some supernatural means, but through her intelligence, her foresight, her determination to expose the truth even from beyond the grave. The USB drive felt warm in my hand as I drove toward the police station. The sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Her final messages would be deleted soon, as she had programmed, but the truth she had uncovered would live on. My phone buzzed one last time. One final message from her scheduled app.
Goodbye, my love. Remember, I'm always with you. And now, you can finally let me rest in peace.
As the sun cleared the horizon, I felt something I hadn't experienced in 6 months. Purpose. She was gone, truly gone, but she had given me one last gift, the chance to bring her justice, and in that moment, I swore I wouldn't let her down. Because even though she was never coming back, in the most important way, she had returned to me one last time. To save me. To guide me, to love me from beyond the grave. And as for Maletu, he would soon discover that the dead can indeed speak, and what they have to say can be deadly.